This next highlight for the 2025 R1 release involves new additional options for ACH file generation inside cash management. You're now going to have the option to select multiple bank file formats that you can use to upload to your banks. And this has been historically, this will be dictated by your individual bank and what they require for a file. And in the past, before this release, we could only do an unbalanced file inside Sage Intacct for ACH generation. Now you're going to have the ability to select what is known as a balanced file or an unbalanced file, and with what is called an EOF marker or without an EOF marker. And again, your bank is going to let you know, and please reach out to your bank and ask them what Nacha file format do you require or which ones don't you require. So let's go ahead and take a look at this and what you would need to do moving forward to make that switch over. So I'm going to end this show. And what I would recommend doing first is going into the release highlights. And I'm going to take a look over here, and you'll see on your home page in Intacct, I'm going to hit the home button. So when you come into here, you'll see this coming soon 2025 release 1. Go ahead and click on the read release notes. Now this will show you all the highlights for 2025 R1. So feel free to explore this as well or watch our full video on our releases. But if I scroll down here, you're going to see a generate Nacha ACH payment files. And go ahead and recommend clicking on that. And the reason so is, number one, it's going to tell you kind of the files, what we're explaining now. It's also going to tell you what needs to be turned on and enabled inside Intacct and what permissions and roles are needed. But the most helpful link is over here, and it's this related information, this transition to Nacha ACH formats. In a lot of cases, you probably already have the ACH set up in your system, and you've been making do or manipulating the file or something like that. So if you do have an existing setup already in ACH, please reach out to us through Ask Richard, or take a look through these instructions on basically a guide to how to transition from your current ACH payment setup over to this new format. And what's nice about this is going to go into the configuration, how to enable it. And it's also going to go into down here what to do. So basically how you can re-import that information. So you don't have to rekey all the banking information and all the setup. Through update vendors and employees bank files, you're going to be able to update that information into the correct format. So how it works is if we go over to our instance here and we go into cash management, I've enabled the bank files. Actually, let's go and take a look at that real quick. So if you go into to enable it, you're going to go into company, admin, subscriptions, and you'll need an admin role, admin security to do this. And you'll scroll down to the bottom here, and you're going to see the Sage Cloud Services. So inside here is where you could configure some of those features like bank feeds and other features in the system. But if I click on here and click configure, it's going to show me some of the setup. So I already have bank feeds enabled, for example. So along with that, you're going to see another row here called enable bank file payment. And this is what needs to be enabled right there. So you would just enable it and click save. At that point, you can go into first of all, your bank account. And so you can go into, for example, a checking account in cash management. And I'm just going to pick one of these bank accounts. Let's pick this WF2 checking account. I'm going to click edit, and you will see a bank file tab. Now, if you already have it set up for ACH payments, you'll have this already turned on with all your banking information in there. So what you would need to do is flip it over to enable bank file payments. And then here, you can select which format you want to use for this bank. So we can say a balanced file. And once I do that, it's going to pull up all the required information, just like it did in the ACH file that you'll need to fill in. And typically on the bank side, you just go ahead and fill it in. If you need more information or clarity on what is in those fields, you can reach out to your bank, or you can click this, what can I do here? It's very helpful in that it will go through and show you the different files and what they mean, okay, and where to get them from. So definitely use the help on this setup. Once you enable that bank files, you'll say save. And then the only other area you'll need to flip it around. And this goes back to that transitioning instructions. If you already have this set up, to use that, so you can import that information in. But you can also do it manually. So if I was, let's say, doing construction payroll through Sage Intacct Construction Payroll, I might come into my employee setup in time and expense here, and I'm going to actually go into the GC entity where I have some employees set up. And once this opens up, I'm going to move over to the employees. So time and expense employees. And in here, you'll see that I have a bunch of employees. And let's say for Robert Jones, I'm going to click edit here. And inside the employee, you're going to have the reimbursement information tab. And you'll see your ACH or bank file setup. And again, if you already have this set up, this is kind of how it's going to look with the ACH. If you need to flip it over, you'll then come into here and flip that over. What country? And then again, it will pull in the information that it needs. Notice it does not grab the information from the ACH payment over automatically. And that's where the import template can come into play. So there's a way that we can get that information out and import it back in. That's all in those instructions that you saw earlier. So it would need to be flipped over on both ends like that. And then you would do the same thing for your vendors if you were paying any via ACH as well in your vendor setups. I'm not sure if I have anybody in here, but let's take a look. And let's just go take a look at my vendors, which are at top level. So let's go take a look at my vendor list here. And I'll just go into Buffalo Building. I'll click edit. And once that opens up, you'll have your bank file tab. And it looks the same as you saw before. Here's your existing information if you're currently set up as ACH. And then enable, and it's the same look that you saw in the employee setup. I just wanted to show you in both areas. So that is it. You'll be able to go through that process. There is a slightly different flow as far as when you get to cash management now. You're not going to be in this area like you were in the past. You'll be in this bank file area, but the same process goes into play. So this is a nice feature that a lot of companies were waiting for because some of their banks required balanced files. So looking forward to having these options inside Sage Intacct. Thank you.